Most prisons have walls, bars, locks, guards. You know when you're inside them. But the strongest prisons most people will ever live inside cannot be seen. They're built from habits, expectations, fear, identity, obligation, the opinions of other people, the roles we learn to play, and a strange belief because we became someone, we must remain them. Many people wake up somewhere around midlife and discover something they cannot explain. The job no longer fits. The marriage feels different. The success feels empty. The body begins speaking. The children leave. The future feels smaller than the past. And somewhere beneath all of it, a quiet realization begins to emerge. I built a life I no longer fit inside. That realization can feel like failure. It can feel like loss. It can feel like fear. Sometimes it feels like dying, because the identity that carried us here often cannot carry us forward. And what most people call a midlife crisis may actually be something else. And maybe the first moment they see the prison. The difficult part is that the prison has no walls, no bars, no guards, no locks, only thoughts, patterns, and expectations, old memories, obligations, and years spent becoming someone we no longer recognize. The question isn't whether the prison exists. The question is whether we're willing to see it. Most people do not change because they became inspired. They change because reality interrupts them. Divorce, illness, loss, financial pressure, aging, empty success. The children leave home. The career loses meaning. The body begins speaking. Then something breaks. And suddenly the life that once felt safe begins to feel small. What many people call a midlife crisis is often something else. It's a collision. The person we became meets the person we're meant to become. The life we built meets the life we actually want. The roles we carried begin to feel heavy. The habits that once protected us begin to confine us. An identity that helped us survive no longer helps us live. For years, we moved forward through responsibility, work, family, obligation, achievement. We become what is needed, what is expected, what is rewarded. And somewhere along the way, many people stop asking, what do I actually want? Who am I becoming? What kind of life am I building? Then one day, reality asks the question for us. The doctor, the divorce, the funeral, the layoff, the panic, the empty house, the mirror. And suddenly the future we assumed would arrive no longer feels certain. The moment can feel terrifying because what is breaking may not be your life. It may be the identity you built to survive it. And that's why so many people feel lost in midlife. Not because they're broken, but because the structure they built no longer fits the person they're becoming. The prison walls often sound reasonable. They sound responsible. They sound practical. And sometimes they even sound wise. I've always been this way. I'm too old. People depend on me. What would everyone think? It's too late. It's just who I am. I can't start over now. I have too much to lose. This is simply life. Most people never realize those are not observations. Those are sentences, and sentences become walls. The prison's not the job. It's the identity attached to the job. The prison's not the relationship. It's the fear of existing without it. The prison's not the circumstance. It's the belief that circumstances determine possibility. The prison is not the role. It's the belief that the role is who you are. A provider, an employer, a husband, a mother, a technician, an owner, a caretaker, a successful person, a failure. Over time, the identity becomes so familiar that we stop questioning it. And eventually we defend the very thing that's making us suffer, because the nervous system doesn't ask, is this true? It asks, is this familiar? And familiarity can feel so much like safety that people spend decades protecting identities they've already outgrown. The walls are invisible, but they're extraordinarily strong because we carry them with us. And wherever we go, they go. The nervous system doesn't prioritize the truth. It prioritizes familiarity. Even painful identities can feel safer than uncertain freedom. People often remain inside suffering they understand rather than walk away a future they cannot see because the familiar self's trying to survive. The person you became was not an accident. At some point, it protected you. It helped you belong. It helped you succeed. It helped you survive. It helped you learn how to avoid rejection, avoid failure, uncertainty, pain. And over time, those protections became identity. The problem is that what once protected us can eventually imprison us. The nervous system asks, is this familiar? Not, is this true? That's why people return to the same relationships, the same reactions, same arguments, and the same habits, with the same stories and the same limitations, because the known often feels safer than the unknown, even when the known is causing suffering. People will remain in pain they understand rather than face freedom they cannot yet imagine. That's why information alone rarely creates change. Advice isn't enough. Books are not enough. Motivation is not enough, because the old self is still protecting the old world. And this is where the work begins. The pause, observation, awareness, breath, self-command. The pause interrupts the pattern. Observation creates the distance. Awareness reveals the story. Breath regulates the body. And self-command allows us to choose what happens next. Without the pause, the old self continues automatically. With the pause, something new becomes possible. The goal is not to destroy the old self. It's to thank it for what it did and then gently stop allowing it to make every decision. Because eventually the person who protected you may become the person preventing you from becoming who you are. Transformation rarely begins with action. It begins with noticing. Something inside quietly says, this can't continue. And for some people, it happens in a hospital room. For others, alone in a car, a conversation, a mirror, a panic attack, an empty house, sleepless night, a funeral, a diagnosis, or simply sitting in silence long enough to hear themselves. The first crack rarely looks dramatic. It often sounds like, I can't keep doing this. I don't know who I am anymore. Something feels wrong. There has to be another way. And perhaps the most important question of all begins to appear. What if this isn't me? What if this is simply who I became? For many people, this is the first moment they separate themselves from the identity they've been carrying. The reaction's not me. The fear is not me. The role is not me. That pattern is not me. The story is not me. Awareness creates distance, and distance creates possibility. This is why the pause matters. The pause creates enough space to observe, to breathe, to notice, to ask, what am I feeling? What story am I telling, and what pattern's trying to take over? What would alignment choose? Without the pause, the pattern continues. With the pause, choice becomes possible, and choice is where transformation begins. Not with becoming someone new, but with seeing clearly enough to stop becoming someone you're not. The first crack's not the end of the prison. It's simply the first time light enters the room. There comes a moment in many people's lives when they realize something they spent years avoiding. Nobody's coming. Nobody can do your breathing. Nobody can regulate your nervous system. No one can choose your thoughts. No one can change your conduct. Nobody can build your future. Nobody can walk through your fear. And nobody can become who you're capable of becoming. And nobody can save you. At first, this realization feels terrifying because much of our life is spent waiting for motivation, waiting for confidence, waiting for the right relationship, the right opportunity, the right teacher, the right circumstance, the right amount of money, the right moment. But eventually something does change. The realization that once felt heavy begins to feel freeing, because if no one can do the work for you, then no one can take the work from you either. If nobody can save you, nobody can stop you. If nobody can become you, nobody can prevent you from becoming yourself. Responsibility stops feeling like punishment and begins feeling like power. The modern world often teaches us to view accountability as blame, but accountability is simply ownership, and ownership is freeing. This does not mean we walk alone. We need teachers, friends, partners, communities, examples, but they cannot do the work. They can point towards the door. They cannot walk through it. The most liberating realization of my life was not that someone would ever come save me. It was realizing they couldn't, because the same power I'd been giving away had been sitting inside me the entire time. Nobody's coming, and perhaps that's the best news you will ever hear. The prison has no walls, which means the door was never locked. The difficult part is not escaping, it's realizing you're the one holding the key. The old identity will fight to survive. The familiar will ask you to stay, and fear will argue for another year. Comfort will suggest tomorrow. The world will continue rewarding the person you've been, but somewhere inside you, you already know. You can't become new inside an old structure. You can't think your way into a new life while protecting the identity that built the old one. And perhaps what you've called a failure is not a failure at all. Perhaps it's awareness. Perhaps the anxiety is awareness. Perhaps the restlessness is awareness. Perhaps the dissatisfaction is awareness. Perhaps the life that no longer fits is simply telling you the truth. The prison has no walls. The door was never locked, and the key was never held by someone else. It's always been in your hands. And the question is not whether change is possible, it's whether you're willing to become unfamiliar to yourself. Because every meaningful transformation requires walking away from someone you believed you had to be. And perhaps that's why you're here. Not because you're broken, not because you need fixing, because somewhere inside you, you already know the life that brought you here can't take you where you want to go. And that realization may be the first act of freedom